Hi, I'm Samantha Anderson, Director of Communications for Newton Public Schools, and I'm here with Dr. Deb Ham, the superintendent, and we're here to give you another Board of Education update. We had the meeting last night, so we're just going to go over some of the key topics that were discussed, not everything, just a few highlights for you. If you have any questions, though, feel free to leave them in the comment section, and we'll get to them as soon as possible. The first major talking point was the Chisholm Middle School teachers. They gave a presentation about their redesign. Can you just go over some of the highlights of that?
Well, Chisholm Middle School has been working on their redesign project for a year and a half. And so last night was a report to the board at the end of their first half year of implementation or piloting of some of the strategies that they've been using. So they are planning to go ahead and fully launch this year. That does not mean they will fully implement everything in their plan, but they have selected some strategies that they want to use for their school next year based on what they have done this year. So beginning next year, they will continue to implement and utilize the Start on Time process, which is a strategy for working with students on preventing tardies. And it has teachers working in hallways, being available before school and during passing periods. And then at the end of the passing period, there's a group of teachers that kind of sweep the halls, pick up all the little stragglers and get them off to class, because if they're in class, they have a better opportunity for learning. So we want them in class as much as possible. And then they talked also about flexible seating. And this is related to a particular project. Space at Chisholm is an issue. They don't have enough space for all of the things that they would like to be able to do. So they began talking as a staff about what space is in the school that maybe is underutilized that we could figure out a way to use differently. And the space that they identified was the commons area, otherwise known as the cafetorium. And in that space currently, the seating that's available is really limiting to what they can do. So Mr. Graber, Monty Graber, worked with his students on a survey to ask different questions about how the cafeteria might be used differently and what the students would like to see in there. And so from that project, they have determined that they would like to work towards more flexible seating in that space that would allow for small group work to occur and for teachers to be able to maybe bring two classes together to work on projects in that space, because a large part of the day it's not being used at all. So I thought it was a great idea. Kudos to the kids for their work on the survey and all of Mr. Graber's work. So that strategy is going to take about 3 years for them to feel like they will have that fully implemented. The students will be involved in the design, some of the design work and things. So looking forward to hearing more about that as they progress. And then they also talked about another strategy will be to continue working in personalized learning. The platform that Chisholm has chosen is Summit Learning. And we've had a team of teachers that have been implementing that this year and piloting it, working out all the different kinks and how that might look and be at Chisholm, and what it does with the content and how things need to be adjusted. So they have worked this year on that. They will fully implement then next year across all 4 of the core teams. And they're excited about that. The teachers that haven't been using Summit to this point will receive training this summer. And any new staff members coming on will also receive that training. And then they'll continue to work collaboratively as a staff over the next probably several years in making any other adjustments to the resources that are in that platform. Then from that, and as a part of the strategies that are used within Summit, and because it is an important aspect of the Chisholm plan outside of Summit is mentoring. And so they this year piloted mentoring with the 125 or so students. They started out with doing the recommended 10 minutes per student per week, found that it was just impossible with class sizes of 28 and the schedule that they have to get to every student. So then they decided to adjust that and went to 10 minutes every other week, and then found out that, well, that worked for some kids, but for some other kids that wasn't real beneficial, or not as beneficial as it could have been. So they decided on 5 minutes every week with every student. So that's what they've been utilizing. And again, in their conversations, as they have worked through that and how well that particular strategy is working, they have determined that they really do want to stick with the 10 minutes. And so how to do that when you have large class sizes. And one of the things that they determined was, well, you just need more people. So next year, they'll be involving not only the core teachers, but also the specials teachers, the elective teachers, in that process, and they will all work towards mentoring students. So that will allow them to get those groups down to a manageable size and allow for every student to receive 10 minutes every week. So they're excited about making that change for next year and having more people to help with that mentoring. They will continue their trauma-informed practices. They've already implemented some strategies, and so they will continue to work towards those, helping kids to understand what their emotions are telling them, how to kind of regulate their feelings when they're feeling angry or sad, or even sometimes happy. Too much happiness can interfere with learning sometimes. So we just want to make sure that we're continuing the work that they've started there. They have a 3-tier program, so they have different resources available to students when they find themselves not able to be in a good place for learning. Their last strategy or focus that they'll be working on will be community service. Again, Chisholm has been working on community service for probably at least the last 3 years that I'm aware of, and probably in smaller ways for many years. Different teachers have worked feeling like that was really important. So the staff has decided that 5 hours a year is a good basis for getting students out into the community and working in different ways with people in our community. So they'll be doing some outreach to agencies within the community to see if there are ways to partner. They may choose an elementary school to do some reading with students at. They may choose to do cleanup projects like Sand Creek cleanup. So there could be some different ways that they will be out and about working in the community, and we're excited to hear about the different things that our students will do to serve those that live in our community. So really excited about their plan. They did end their presentation with a overview of what their implementation plan looks like over the next 5 years. They don't plan to implement everything in their plan next year. They know that they need to kind of layer it so that people are feeling supported and feeling like they have a handle on different strategies before they continue to add another strategy. So they went over that with the board, and the board seemed excited about the planning that they had done. So we're excited to have them move forward.
You also gave an update on the bond to the board. Can you just let everyone know what's going on there?
Well, as people are aware, we did go ahead and apply to the state. So on Friday, Matt Morford and myself, along with Steve Sjogren and Brett Sjogren, went to Topeka and participated in an interview with Dale Dennis and Craig Neuenswander from KSDE, along with 2 State Board of Education members. And that's a normal part of the process. And they asked questions about, so how are we going to use the gym, and what was our mill levy going to do, and how was our plan going to serve the community for, the next few years or multiple years. So they had lots of really good questions about our plan. And then at the end of our about 30-minute interview, Mr. Dennis said, well, I hate to be the one to tell you, but there's no money. So we're going to deny your request to have a bond election. And we anticipated that could happen. But we also felt like we had an opportunity to request that the State Board of Ed consider our application ahead of the next fiscal year because of a subsection in a state statute. Mr. Dennis believes that there is a conflicting state statute with that subsection. So we requested that the Attorney General be consulted and that we get an opinion from him about whether or not which state statute conflicts with the other one. So at this time, our next steps will be in late May, June. We'll be working on a new resolution to go to the state board in July when the new fiscal year starts. And hopefully we will be one of the first districts in line for the next year's bond cap. And then we'll just have to wait and see whether or not we are early enough in the line of districts that are expected to be applying. Mr. Dennis shared that he believes there will be requests for twice as much money as will be available next year. So again, it's going to be a wait and see kind of time for the district, unfortunately.
Right. And then finally, we did have a gift made over the last couple of weeks. Can you just let us know who it was from and where it went?
Yes, we had McLean Machine Tool Solutions that provided $500 to Rayler Robotics for supplies and travel expenses. The kids have their robot finished. I shouldn't say kids, young people, the students have their robot finished, and it's been bagged and tagged, and so it's ready to head off to competition. So we're excited to see how well they do. It's pretty amazing robot, and I look forward to their work coming to fruition in competition.
Yes, good luck to them too. All right, that's all we have for you. Our next meeting is on March 11th here at McKinley. Just a little change. Our recap will actually be on Wednesday instead of Tuesday that week, just due to scheduling conflicts. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section. And thank you so much for watching.